All right, there's our first match. Michelle Feldman will get going. And Chris, she is an entertaining bowler.
One of the highest rep rates probably to ever throw a ball on the women's tour.
And you get a good example of, and that is what we have seen with her. She can get on streaks and just easily rip off 5, 6, 7 in a row.
Yeah, when she has it, she throws lots of strikes in a row. The problems come when she's not lined up. She can leave some ugly-looking splits.
Kelly Kulick, 4th straight top 6 finish or better in the Queens. And she opens up the time. Michelle, Chris, what are we bowling on today?
We're bowling on a 40-foot sport-compliant pattern, 24 mils of volume. That's pretty heavy. You'll see some of the players like Tennille and Missy playing out. You'll see Michelle and Kelly playing the deeper inside line. They're hooking a little bit more today. Michelle will be playing around the 17th to 18th board. Kelly will be just a couple boards right of that. Missy, Anne-Marie, and Tennille will be playing in the 12-13 range.
Kulick for a double. A little light, but mixed them up. The scores here, Chris, have been amazing. And we have seen record qualifying scores here at the Queens.
You watch this ball, it gets just right of that tracer arrow. The head pin goes back, shakes everything up, knocking out the 7-pin last. A good break. The left lane seems to be a little bit tighter on this TV pair.
And Michelle looked a little bit uncomfortable with her footwork there. She got a break and is only left with the 6-pin. But she looked down at her feet as if something was a little bit amiss there.
You get the lights on these approaches. They heat up a little bit. Sometimes they get a little tackier. The players were trying to adjust their shoes in practice. Watch her bounce at the foul line. She's forward early. That back foot was not able to stay down. She came forward. Converts the spare, though, and avoids early disaster.
What about some keys to victory here, Chris?
Well, for Michelle, she's got a couple of keys. And the first one is she really needs for the lane to start to hook. The later she can go, the easier lanes will get for her, the more dangerous she is. But she also needs to be nice to it. And by that, I mean her hands needs to stay soft, because when she over-revs it, it hooks early and then goes by it down lane.
She recovers nicely and blows them out. Flush hit for Michelle Feldman, who trails by 10.
Now for Kelly, what she needs to do is get more end over end early while they're on the fresh, and then wait for them to open up before she goes around a little bit more and takes advantage of her powerful release. And you can see today, she's using a lot more shine today than she was last night. The lanes are hooking more.
Up the hill. Up. Good shot.
Stuck with a 10-pin that
Good
time.
shot.
First professional title for Kelly Kulick was a major when she won the 2003 U.S. Women's Open.
Pretty good shot here. It gets just a little bit right of that tracer down there again. The 6-pin goes, stays in the gutter, flat 10. She's going to have to make a little move right. The lanes are carrying down a little bit. You'll see a lot of that transition here in this first game.
And there we go. No problem for Kelly Kulick on the 10-pin. SEC rivals LSU and Georgia take to the diamond Thursday night as ESPN brings you college softball at 8 p.m. Eastern from the sparkling new Tiger Park on the LSU campus of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. For more information, you can always log on to ESPN.com. So Kulick with a 9-pin advantage here in the opening match of the stepladder finals of the USBC Queens. That is a little too light. And the first split we have seen tonight. 2-4-10.
The key is this tracer right here. When it gets a board right of that, that's about perfect, or right on top of it. That was about 3 boards right of that. Won't make it back up the hill in this 40-foot pattern. It's sport compliant, and even though the scores are high, having Michelle and Kelly both first and tearing up the front of the lane from further left will not make the scores higher.
And she'll end up with an open there. And an opening for Michelle Feldman. Let's get down to Kathy for an ITRC Pro Shop report. Kathy?
Well, like Chris said, the longer Michelle's on the lanes, the better it's going to benefit her game and not anybody else's, because she does what no one else does. The ball she's using is a track 505A with a little surface, so it's allowing her to hook the lane more.
And she just completely missed. There's a Greek church right there. And what happened here, Chris? We've had both players now miss somewhat badly in the last 2 shots.
Again, this last tracer right here, she gets it too far to the right of it. And once you get to about the 7th board there, it has no chance. You need to stay on top of that 10th board at 40 feet to get the ball back up to the head pin.
So the washout. Nope, didn't do it. So both players with an open frame in the 4th. And Feldman, who had just a little bit of a lead, now is down by 8. So right to the mental process, Chris, what are these 2 players thinking as they try to find what they had in their opening shots?
This is going to be the weakest part for both of these players. They're the strongest rev rate in the field, and so as the lanes and the oil move from front to the back, it affects them more than the straighter players. By playing deeper on the lane, they're making it harder on themselves as well.
And a nice recovery. Got a little kick from the 6 onto the 10.
You can see the sheer power of her release right there. This rev rate is way up there. About 18th board. That one got picked up. It was still right of that tracer, but off of the 8th board down there, 6 falls right on the 10. Nice recovery.
You can hear her say push, and instead she stuck with a 7 pin.
You see the ball coming right at us here. This one was inside a target. You heard her say push. Lucky to break it down. Only leave the 7 pin.
Well, Kelly did something this year that's never been done before. She's become famous in the world of bowling. We asked her about that Tournament of Champions victory. You know, there's a lot of positive to that, of course, but is there a downside as well?
There can be a downside to being a little bit famous. I feel like there's a bullseye on my back sometimes. People, an extra pair of eyes that I haven't had before. Everybody always wants to see you succeed as well as see you possibly fail. So there's that little added pressure of how is she going to perform today, and if she doesn't perform very well, just remember, guys, that Kelly Kulick's a human being.
Good shot.
Well, she said good shot, Chris, but it ends up not really being, and she seems a bit surprised by that.
No, and it made it right by that tracer, the right spot. Michelle is throwing a pretty dull ball. It's got about 1,000 on it, may even have as much as 500 grit on it. Beating up the front of the lane awfully fast. She did think she threw it good, and it was on line, but it did hook early. She'll have to make a move, probably a couple boards left the next time in this lane.
So Michelle really makes you adjust on the fly when you play against her, doesn't she?
Absolutely. Same as a guy like Robert Smith or Jason Belmonte in our tour.
No problem for Kelly Kulick, though, to cover the spare. So as she searches for a line against the power of Michelle Feldman, we'll find out who's going to advance in the step-ladder finals and get closer to the tiara and be the USBC 2010 Queens champion here in El Paso.